Could do that. I could do that, Randy, because I run this show. Thanks for doing this. Grab the mic right over there. Thanks so much for stopping by. How are you?
Absolutely good. Thank you.
This is great. I have a lot of questions for you, Randy, and I appreciate I'm happy to start the show with you right off the top. A couple days ago, I'm flipping through the channels, and I see Randy Couture on FS1, and I thought for a second the solar eclipse happened a little early. I thought I was in the twilight zone. How did you... I can't get on FS1 anymore. How did you get on FS1?
You know what? I have no idea.
What do you mean you have no idea?
They reached out to us.
They kidnapped you?
I'd be interested in doing a couple of their talk shows, and of course, and I haven't been back literally in 5 years.
Yeah.
So it was cool to go back and see everybody there and be back in the green room and the whole thing. It was fun to do those shows. Those shows are interesting. They're intriguing. They ask a lot of interesting questions. So it was good. But honestly, I don't know how that happened.
Perhaps it was an olive branch. Perhaps you'll be doing more. You should be on there.
I would be happy to.
Okay.
I enjoyed working there when I worked there. It's something that I do enjoy. I think giving a fighter's perspective. I think we see things that other people don't see. So,
how do you feel about this? Because building up to this fight, we've been talking about you versus James Toney.
Yeah.
That was so much fun to cover. Of course, it was the reverse. And no one thought that James had a chance in your fight, and a lot of people don't think Conor has a chance. Let me ask you this. Going into the James Toney fight, who has a better chance? Like if we were to say, okay, these two fights are happening on the same night, Conor against Floyd in boxing or James Toney in an MMA match 8 years ago now against you?
It really depends on the combatants. I wasn't going to play James's game. I had respect for James's ability as a boxer. This is an MMA engagement. I wasn't going to stand around in front of him and see how hard he hits and see how good he rolls his shoulder and throws that hook. Or, I mean, there are a lot of other pieces to MMA, and I want to see how he's going to do in those situations. This is the opposite of that. Conor, his striking style is from more traditional martial arts. He does a lot of spinning kicks and spinning fists, and he's not a traditional boxing, Western boxing type striker. And now he's engaged in a purely boxing competition where that footwork and that timing and that hand speed and all that stuff comes into play. And he's fighting arguably one of the best defensive boxers we've seen in 20 years.
Yeah.
Does he have a chance? Absolutely. He's got a couple things going for him. He's unorthodox. He's a southpaw and he's unorthodox. He's not going to throw things like Floyd has seen coming at him for his entire career. He's young and he's big for this weight class. So those things I think go in his favor, but still at the end of the day, Floyd's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to be elusive, he's quick, he's got great hand speed, he's got great head movement, he's going to be hard to hit, and the harder you chase him, the more you seem to get hit. That's how I see this fight going.
Are you surprised that Dana and company allowed this fight to happen? You tried to do the Fedor fight. I know that's different.
It is different because I'm not protected by the Muhammad Ali Act. When Floyd Mayweather got his boxing license and got his boxing number, he became protected by the Ali Act.
Sure.
They realized at that point they couldn't stop him from doing this.
You mean Conor?
Conor.
Okay.
I said,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Maymac.
Yes. They've kind of blended into one, haven't they?
It has. It's very strange.
Do you think that's the only reason why they let this happen?
They did a complete 180.
Yeah.
Stripped him of his title, were harassing him because he was talking about this fight.
That's right.
And then when he got that boxing license, they did a complete 180. They saw the opportunity to take some of that money, to make some money off of this thing, and they realized they couldn't stop him. I'm not sure why, because he's educated. He knows that he's protected. I'm not sure why he let them in.
You think that would have flown? I mean, they could have sued. They have a contract with him, right? 4 fights left.
That contract is null and void.
In boxing?
By his protections under the Ali Act.
Really?
It's written right in that contract. You cannot box, wrestle, grapple without our express written consent. But the second he got that boxing number, he fell under the protection of the federal legislation that's written in the Muhammad Ali Act that doesn't allow that exclusivity. By a promoter.
So why didn't you try to box Fedor when you tried to fight him? Why didn't you go around them?
I'm not a boxer.
I know, but both of you together, it was such a big deal.
It was a big deal. And I honestly, back then in 05, 06, I didn't understand what the Ali Act was.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't understand, and again, I'm an MMA fighter. I'm not a boxer. I didn't realize that going and getting a boxing license created some protections for me that I don't have as a mixed martial artist.
Okay, fair enough. Now, where do things stand with the Ali Act? Because you're one of the few who actually puts his money where his mouth is. I know that's not the best analogy, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of people talk about Ali Act and Association.
No,
you actually do the work.
Heavily involved with the Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association, the MMAFA.
Yeah.
We've been to D.C. almost every month for the last 9 months, with Mark Wayne Mullins' help spearheading this, who was an MMA fighter. Tried out and was going to be on the Ultimate Fighter, so he understands perfectly well what these contracts look like and how this all fits together.
Oklahoma, right? He's from Oklahoma?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. We have 36 congressmen now that are co-sponsoring the expansion. That's 16 more than the original act had when it passed in 2000. So I think we have some great momentum. Mark Wayne is a very smart man. He understands how all this works. It's been an eye-opener being on the Hill and talking to these people and trying to educate them about what mixed martial arts is going through and what's going on with the fighters in our sport. So,
how soon do you think we can get this done in MMA?
It looks to me like we're going to get to go before the entire Energy and Commerce Commission here in October.
Oh, wow.
So I spoke to a subcommittee back in December last year in the 113th Congress. We reintroduced the Expansion Act in the 114th Congress. We've since garnered a lot of momentum with the congressmen on both sides of the aisle. They understand the issues. They understand what's going on in our sport. And I think we're going to finally get to present this to the Energy and Commerce Commission to be voted on. And then it has to go to the House.
Okay. So there's still a couple of steps.
Yeah, we're still a ways away, but I think we've got some good momentum going in.
I love that you're doing that. Please keep that up. It's important for the sport. Do you think we'll ever see an association of sorts, or do you think the sport is too fragmented?
No, I think if we can continue to educate fighters, I mean, that's what we're doing. I needed to be educated myself. Like I said, in 0506, I didn't understand what the Ali Act was and what protections boxers were getting that we aren't getting because the act hasn't been expanded to cover all combative sports. So, there's an education process. It's a bit scary when your potential career is on the line. I can't imagine what Curt Flood was going through in baseball when all this was going on in baseball and they were trying to form a baseball association, for the players.
Right.
And that's basically what we're in the process of, educating fighters, letting them know that if we come together, if we use our voice, that we have a lot of power. And we need to use that power to create some transparency in our sport, to allow us as athletes to get some of the things we need: healthcare, retirement plans. I mean, there's a lot of issues in our sport right now for the fighters. We're not getting our fair. The revenue that comes into our sport, we're getting a very, very small percentage of that, and that there's not another professional sport like it.
Do you think Conor is opening some of those doors? Maybe
he's certainly shedding a light on it, in this, and him going out and getting a boxing license. Diaz went and got a boxing license too. He's certainly shedding a light on some of these issues and what's going on and the difference between. I've been asked that since I started in '97. Why don't you make that kind of money? What's the difference between boxing and MMA? And I didn't understand or really know how to answer that question back then. I have a better idea now what the difference is.
There was a point where you were making a lot of predictions about UFC fights, and you went on like a crazy streak of getting all kinds of. It was amazing.
97%.
Yeah, it was nuts. So your
crazy.
Prediction is the only one I care about for this fight. Can Conor do it? Can he pull it off? What do you think?
He can. I think he's got a fighter's chance in this. Sure, he's an amazing athlete. He's a great mixed martial artist. Is he a great boxer? I don't know.
But what if he goes in there and just tries to play dirty as a martial artist, hit him in the elbow, hit him in the shoulder, just frustrate him?
I think he has to do that.
Yeah.
I think he has to do that. He has to do those unorthodox things that most boxers aren't going to do. That's one of his advantages.
So wait a second. Are you picking Conor? Is that what's happening here?
I think Mayweather's going to win this. I think it's going to be a 12-round typical Mayweather performance. It has that potential.
Really?
Floyd is that elusive. He's talking about, I need to be the aggressor because of the Pacquiao fight and all these things. I get it, but I just don't. He's 49-0 for a reason.
Right.
He knows what he's good at. He knows what's gotten him to that point. Everyone's, it's a fix. He's going to throw the fight so they can make more money and do it again. I do not see that.
He's not going to risk that one loss, right?
No. Why would he?
He's already making a ton of money.
Yeah. How much
150,
more?
200.
Yeah.
So what's the
crazy.
point? Do you think that it would be a massive disaster for boxing if Conor wins, or do you think that people view this as just sort of a one-off and not really a victory for MMA because it's boxing?
No, I think there is. I mean, I felt that kind of pressure when I fought James.
You did. You felt like you were representing the
absolutely.
sport.
I was representing my sport. I think boxing has more to lose in this engagement than we do. Even if it goes 12 rounds and Mayweather gets a decision, I still think that's kind of a win for us.
A moral victory.
They comment on how bad our striking is and oh, we'd knock you out and all these things. I've heard this stuff since I started in '97, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I get that. I understand where they're coming from. I understand what they're analyzing and looking at. I don't think they understand what it's like to step in that cage when somebody can kick you, take you down, elbow you, hang on to you and punch you, do all the things that we do in MMA that you have to be ready for. It changes. It's not the same sport. There are a ton of similarities. It's still an individual combative sport, don't get me wrong, but technically it's not the same thing. Striking changes. Your stance changes. All these things change when all these other things are a potential threat.
Randy, your insight is second to none. I really appreciate it. You're doing great stuff with Hawaii 5-0, right?
Thank you. I
just
had
shot
a
your
lot of fun with that. My fourth episode,
yeah, great stuff. You're
crazy character, but he's fun.
You're an amazing ambassador for this sport, and especially the fact that your fighting days are over, but you're still fighting for the younger guys, I think speaks volumes to who you are and your character. So thank you so much for that, Randy, and thank you for stopping by, making the check. Everyone's gonna attack you now back there, so get ready for that. But let them know who brought you here, all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There he is, the legend Randy Couture. We appreciate his time greatly joining us here this morning.